So, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing good.
How was your week?
My week it was pretty good.
That's
I would
good.
say it's pretty good. Yeah.
That's good. I enjoyed your teaching, or I enjoyed your podcast.
Thank you.
It was very informative.
I hope so. That is the point.
Yeah, yeah, very very informative. And I mean, when you get a lot of podcasts, everyone's selling, but there are different people that you do happen to come across on the socials and on the internet where they are actually providing information, they're teaching.
hmm
So if you happen to connect with that person and you can do business, great, because that's what we should be in the business of doing, connecting when we can. But it's tough dealing with someone who is just on the sell immediately from the door. So I thank you for that. And what you touched on is important. You touched on why it's important to choose a great wedding coordinator. And I like, especially toward the end of your podcast, you talked about just the love of getting info out, even if someone doesn't go with you. And I mean, is that real or is that spill? That real spill or?
That for me, because the name of this podcast is The Heart of Robin and Angela. That is my heart. I feel like we have always talked in private and you know our morals. But for people getting to know me, it's really important. I think, especially in 2026, where everything is skyrocket high, people have to pay for so much information or you have to go through so many hoops just to get one answer. My biggest thing is why gatekeep it when you can really give it away? It doesn't mean you have to give away every single thing, but I don't want to see you sit there and struggle. It's like having a tag on the back of your t-shirt and nobody tells you all
Yeah, kick
day.
me.
And then you have one person who is willing and says, "Hey, you have a tag on the back of your shirt." And you're grateful that that one person told you. So that's how I feel about information. We need to be able to give it out.
For sure. And I like, I know in times past I went with you like to bridal shows and conventions, and you just have a bunch of booths and you have a bunch of people, vendors. And I remember it was so funny. A person was with their mother, I guess, and they stopped at your booth and they were like, I can just, you started mentioning that it's an investment. And the woman said, "Well, I can just get my aunt to do it." And it's like,
Shaking my head.
yeah, your aunt, like you mentioned in your podcast, like we want to see you sweating on a dance floor, having fun, and like you mentioned, the mother-in-law said, "Oh, everything turned out so beautiful." I doubt that auntie's going to, not that she could not add
Right,
value,
right,
but
right.
there's a difference when you have a professional.
Honestly, I still cringe when I hear people say that. I'm sure if you come from any professional industry, uh, for example, it could be a dentist, and you hear somebody say, "Well, all you have to do is brush your teeth. You
Yeah,
really don't need to go to the dentist." They're cringing because they're professional and they know your teeth in a more intimate way than you ever will.
right.
So, same thing in the wedding industry. Like, shout out to all the aunties because before I feel like the original wedding coordinators were the aunties.
Yeah,
They were the point people. But the truth is, the aunties, the cousins, whomever that you designate, do they really have the skill set to do all what they need to do during the wedding? Do they have the skill set to manage vendors? Do they have the skill set to calm people down? Do they have the skill set to put out fires that only a professional would be able to do? I
right.
mean, that's my thing.
Yeah, yeah, and like you mentioned, this sometimes it's all hands on deck, and
hmm
we know when you're trying to cut cost out, but it's just tough, when you have a professional who has industry experience, a professional who has just personal experience, and they're vested and passionate about what they do and just want, as you mentioned last week, point number one, you mentioned to enjoy your day. And that's such a benefit and a blessing that you have a professional, experienced professional that has done the research,
Hmm.
that has had clients, that has had experiences and knows how to navigate that. But Auntie can enjoy, and it's no knock on Auntie, but let's be real. Auntie is there to see the beauty of the day. Auntie is probably not there to work. And Auntie, as much as Auntie loves for you to walk down in whatever gown you have or dress or however the event is, Auntie wants to share in the joy of that day. And it's point number one, enjoy your day. And that actually robs you and your family member who's actually working.
It is really like putting a big task on somebody that you love and telling them to get it right that day, telling them to make sure all these things take place. But if you love your family member that much, and I can understand the financial portion, it might be overwhelming financially, but some things are truly a financial investment, which I talked about. Why would you want Auntie to work that hard that day when they were there when you were born? So don't they want to get a chance to really see you shine, see you laugh, see you cry, wipe your face, and tell you how proud of you that they are? Like, I think about it, that's that's just a big ask. It's a big ask to ask any family member, hey, did you really not enjoy this day? I'm going to enjoy it. I know your family, I know you're a loved one, but could you enjoy it? And like I said, I understand financially, but it is better, even if you have to put money to the side, even if you have to look at your budget and say, what could we either take away or what could we make smaller in the budget so we can fit in this wedding coordinator who literally is running the show. It's just like running a play without a stage manager in the back. There could be
Mm,
chaos.
mm.
That's why they have all those different positions in place. So it's highly, if you had to do it, I understand and I don't knock. That's Robin. You like it, I love it for you, friend. But in the end, you need to do, I say, the right thing, which would be to hire somebody and see what all you and your partner can do to get that budget to hire somebody so you can enjoy your day. Otherwise, why pay thousands of dollars just to say, I can't wait till this day is over because nothing's going right?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like I said, I listened to it and I think you hit a home run on those points, especially when you talked about the second point you mentioned was you're invested financially and you want the outcome to be great. Yeah. I mean, that's a part of planning. If you have a special event, if it's an anniversary, especially if it's a wedding, you can do only what you can do. But
Right,
planning pays off in the end. And Auntie could have some experience as a coordinator, but why would you rob Auntie of that moment that you could never
right,
get back?
right,
And why would you rob yourself of that moment having to ask Auntie to be a professional? So you're now, even in that day, not looking at her as Auntie, you're looking
right.
at her as,
You're my wedding coordinator.
right,
You're the
right.
point. Yeah, you're the
And
point
when
person.
steam is coming off of your head because things aren't going right,
Right,
because inevitably it's never a perfect day if you have to manage so many things
right,
because you're managing different people. And now Auntie is steam is coming off of her head because in her own psyche she knows I'm not paid for this, or I'm here trying to enjoy my niece's event.
exactly.
So it is an investment financially, and it's worth investing. This is not just I'm going to enlist Auntie to be my coordinator. If anything is worth having, it's worth investing in. Even in a relationship, you invest time, you invest money, resources. So why not invest money into an event that your entire family or whoever your loved ones, even if it's a corporate event, why not invest financially so that that day can be enjoyable?
Like I said, if you're going to do it and you're able to do it right. It's like any other thing in life. Some some things, some tasks, some situations you cannot skip steps. And this is too big of a celebratory moment to say I'm just going to do this on my own, or I'm just going to ask auntie or I'm going to ask my cousin. And in your mind, you think everything is going to go well in your mind. But like I said, is auntie, cousin, whomever built for these fires, they're really not. It is one thing. There's a spill in the bathroom floor. Okay, maybe somebody can grab a mop real quick. Somebody can take some paper towels, mop it up, and boom, it's done. It is another thing when I have two vendors who's supposed to be here. They are running late. I don't have access to the contracts, so I don't have any numbers to call. Therefore, I have to bother my niece or my cousin and say, hey, oh, I'm sorry, by the way, I don't mean to disturb you, but your vendors aren't here yet. Do you have the phone numbers? That's already putting a bride, a couple at 10 with anger, with fear, with concern. They're already like, this is not starting off right. Is auntie going to be able to communicate and handle it? Whereas a professional wedding coordinator, we know what to do behind the scenes because one of the first things you do, you have all your vendor contracts, you have all their contact information, their phone numbers. Hey, this is Robin from Brown Bird Events. You were supposed to be here at such and such. Like I said, you don't want to be mean, which I mentioned in the last video. I'm not here to police, but I'm here to perform a duty, so I need to know your ETA because you need to be here now. What's your ETA looking like? Okay. So I know how to, even if we had to stall out, I can be in contact with the maitre d and the venue coordinator and communicate, hey, team, this is what's going on. The vendors are a little late, but in the meantime, we're going to pivot to prosper, whatever that means. Cocktail hour might be pushed back a few more minutes. So let's get some drinks going anyway. Let's get something out here for these people to keep them busy. So it's you have to that's it. You have to know how to keep the show going because I'm theater trained. The show must go on. you know, it must go on. So since it must go on, we have to figure out a way as wedding coordinators for things to go on. Even when it's high pressure on us, because you know, me and Jesus, I'm like, Jesus, you do miracles so great because this thing looks like it's about to go completely left. And
Mhm.
any professional wedding coordinator will tell you there's times you just think this thing is really the ship is about to go down and I'm probably gonna have to go down with it. And it seems like for some reason it always turns around.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because those are actually two of the things that I wanted to touch on with this conversation and time. What I really want to touch on was emotions. Now, emotions aren't always a bad thing, but and it's not. I know we brought up, or I brought up the auntie because that was an actual live event. This isn't a hypothetical that actually happened, and we got to discuss like, wow, that mindset may be coming from a budget place, but you only get an opportunity to have that event that day, especially if it's a wedding and emotions. So, emotionally, your family member, auntie, mom, they mean so well to you, but they're in an emotional space where now they have to try to enjoy your event, plan your event, and also manage the timeline of
Right.
your event. And we saw, I mean, we saw when you were managing the timeline of an event and it was a televised event. So you have to deal with not only your client, but you also have to deal with the actual studio network to make sure. And I saw you, and it was an amazing thing. You coordinated with your team, and you were able to say, okay, now the cameras are, and in the bridal suite, the cameras are looking, in in the grooms, for the grooms, the cameras are
Right.
looking here or there, and you had to coordinate not only the client during the day, but also with a professional production team for a TV show. Like, how did you? I just want to ask, how did you get through that? And was that a big moment that you had some nerves dealing with?
I will say this, I won't mention my client saying she's still near and dear to me, and I love her, she loves me. She was so grateful after that particular show, but I know she wouldn't mind me name dropping the show. And the show was Say Yes to the Dress. And anybody who's in the wedding industry, and even those who are not in the wedding industry, are familiar with Say Yes to the Dress. It's an amazing cast that they have there, amazing team. And I tell you, when I found out that she was doing Say Yes to the Dress, it was a little bit, I say, unnerving, I guess. It was a little bit, it made me a little bit fearful, just a little bit, because that is a
A lot on the
big,
line.
yes, a lot on the line, a big feat, like a big, okay, we got to do this. So that means it's double the team. So you have the venue team itself. I had, of course, you been trusty by my side, and another team member, April, and I know April wouldn't mind me name dropping, but April, who is amazing. I tell you, just all of us, like I said, plus the venue team, plus the Say Yes to the Dress crew, camera crew, production crew, and you saw that day. It was people everywhere.
Oh yeah, we had our earpieces in like the Secret
Yeah.
Service
Plus, plus
coordinating.
the venue, the vendors is what I'm trying to say. Plus the vendors and everybody, because people are nervous, but people need to be directed on where to go, what time is what. So it was already important that I had that timeline established, because not only am I managing different parts, but we have the vendors, we have Say Yes to the Dress, and I had a couple of people from Say Yes to the Dress, the production team, come up to me and ask, "Hey, is everything kind of the same? Is anything changing?" Because now they have to fit their camera crew around our timeline and really film important pieces so they could just
Right.
produce one episode, because anybody in editing knows that things get spliced a thousand different ways. So they have to pick the best footage of what they film. And I'm glad that I'm just a person naturally when it comes to clients, when it comes to clients, to make sure I reach out ahead of time. I always give my vendors a chance. Hey, my name is, that's my favorite thing to do. I'm going to introduce, this is going to be my team for the day. Is there any conflicts? Is this timeline enough for everybody? Does everybody have enough time to do what they need to do? Does anything need to change? And I ask that like a month ahead of time, because stuff changes. It's like, oh, the bridal team sorry, the makeup team might say, "Hey, Robin, we need 20 more minutes, or we need actually half hour more. Can you push this back or push this up?" So yeah, with you're right. With Say Yes to the Dress, that was a huge team. That's the first time I had ever seen up close a production team of that nature, a film production team. So I'm like, oh wow, this is really going down. So yeah, I had to be organized that day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they would hit them lights. Okay, we're up in the bridal suite, and and they're working with different uh, parts of the segment, trying to get their pieces, and that flows into what your fourth point was last week, is managing vendors.
Hmm.
Um, Managing vendors. It's like you're managing the vendors for the client, you're managing the timeline for the production team. Um, the vendor is just working.
Hmm.
The vendor is trying to, is it my turn yet? Is it, where do I fit in? And the vendor is doing what the vendor can do. right? But the vendor is connected to two different beings. The vendor is connected to you, the coordinator. The vendor is also connected to that production team at that time. But having someone, the auntie or uncle coordinating or something like that, can they, as a professional, as you mentioned, it's it's always great to. It's important to choose a great wedding coordinator. Can that family member be emotionally detached from you, the family member, and still be professionally connected to the event? And you mentioned to manage vendors in a loving way. Now, me as an uncle, right? If my nephew is getting married and he said, "Hey, Unc, I know you know how to help me out here and coordinate." I'm like, oh, this is my nephew. I'm so proud of him. And if the vendors are a little slow or the vendors aren't where I think they need to be, I might go into uncle mode
Right.
and
Right.
not coordinator mode. Hey, you're messing up my nephew's big day. He didn't pay you all this money. Like,
Exactly.
so that in itself is value added as a coordinator. And have you had to juggle that around? I mean, I know watching you that you have to be professionally engaged, but you have to be emotionally detached from, man, I want my client to have a great day. And you talk about the hiccups and the shielding because sometimes your hands are tied, but you pivot to prosper and you want to make uh, the day enjoyable. And that the price in the industry a lot of times is not off of the good things that you can do. It's the troubleshooting and the problems that you can solve.
Let me just be blunt. In 2026, there's a lot of self proclaimed people out here, whatever industry that you have. I'm not here really to debate whether you are who you say you are, but the proof is going to be in the pudding. It will come out in the rinse eventually. And I'm not talking about so much starting off. Mistakes do happen. Anybody who is a wedding planner, coordinator, consultant will tell you mistakes happen all the time in this industry. That is the truth. What I'm saying, if you choose this as a career and you've been in it for a while, there's certain things that you should know. And I tell you, being professional is a skill set. Of course, you and I, we met years ago, and you were doing one end at the company. I was on the other end at the company. And people don't know, number one, I have theater production experience. I've been around that for a few years, doing plays, seeing what it's like.
High leverage
Get hot,
moments.
yes, seeing the drama in the back, seeing my director give us all stage notes afterwards, doing different positions, doing different positions inside these plays, and moving forward, getting into customer and client service is a big deal. Like I started off really my career in customer service. And sometimes you don't know why your career looks like it does, but all these moments really have led up to me being a wedding coordinator. But I acquired soft skills years ago. Now I
Mm,
could be boiling mad, and you listen, you know, I could be boiling mad on the inside, but I was taught this was instilled in me and really, what's the word I'm looking for? It was just really taught to me that professionalism, you have to maintain it at all times. This is
mhm.
not, oh, I get to step out because you made me mad type of thing. My company is on the line. Now, I do understand there's a borderline for chaos, and that should be included in your contract and your agreements, which is a whole separate episode to protect you because there's certain circumstances. No, I'm not going to work under that, and according to my agreement that I have with you, I don't have to take abuse,
For
which is a
sure.
whole nother level. But just because a client is mad and perhaps yelling, doesn't give me the right to tell you off, curse you out, call you out your name, etc. So I have to make sure that I'm maintaining my professionalism. And I have learned you don't know what I'm doing to you. You think you're getting the upper hand. I'm talking you off the ledge.
Yeah.
You don't know that's the professional part of me. Okay, I understand what you're saying while you're yelling because when somebody is on 10, you don't match them at 10. I'm going to match you at 1. So you understand I'm not a threat. Because if you
Yeah.
think I'm a
De-escalate.
threat, then it's totally going to go a different way. But if you think that, oh wow, I'm really leaning in, I'm going in on Robin, but I notice she's maintaining her professionalism, they will trust you a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. Managing vendors in a loving way, like it's
uh,
easier said than done because things happen.
right,
Yeah, things happen that are out of your control. People are already emotionally like at a high
right,
point. they're
right,
they're
right, right,
open, they want everything to be perfect, and it's difficult when you're wearing two hats, as a family member
right,
and as a professional coordinator, whether you're a DJ or the coordinator. It's difficult because you want to enjoy that moment.
right,
You might want to be there taking selfies and telling the photographer, "Hey, take a picture with me and my nephew."
right, 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 right.
And it's not the time for that. Your
Not the
nephew
time.
needs you to get ready to set up the next part of the timeline, and that's where a professional comes in. And man, like you mentioned, during the last podcast, the episode about the prices in the industry, and there are anyone can be almost anything on paper. Anyone can be almost anything on the internet. But when you're actually in the fire, when you're in the fire,
Correct.
how do you put out the fire? It's going to be smoke. It's a fire here. There's a fire over there. The cooks or the waiters or the food staff, they're
Correct.
okay, when can we start presenting? This
Right,
food is getting cold.
right.
Oh, they're still out taking pictures with the
Hmm.
photographer. You can't rush the photographer. He's doing his job,
Right,
she's doing her job.
right,
So you have to be able to manage the vendors in a loving way,
right,
all while you yourself are hired to do the thing. So you're taking a lot of the brunt of the blame because they're thinking, why isn't this thing going well? You need to go get the whatever vendor in shape. Where's the florist? What's going on? Um, and that's a lot. That's a tall task to put on a family member.
right,
It's not just about, hey, hire me, hire me. It's let's take a step back and think about this thing.
right, right,
Do you think your family member is equipped to handle all of that dual service, trying to be there for you as a family member, but also be there for you as a professional? That's a lot to ask of someone on that day. And most times they just want to join in the fun, especially
right,
if it's a reception.
right, 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 right.
They're they're line dancing with you.
As
They're
they should. I mean, honestly, as they should. They saw you when you were born, and now you're asking them to coordinate your wedding. Like, and I, and again, I'm very. This is hard, Rob and Angela. I'm sensitive to people, so I understand. So I'm not here in case somebody watches as well. I can't afford that. I'm not talking to you. You do what you have to do and have a beautiful marriage.
Mhm.
I say that again. You do what you have to do and go on and have a beautiful marriage. But I'm talking about, I think there are some couples, I love that. I love them, but they can be stubborn because I understand they're looking at finances and you're a big finance person. So you understand what I'm saying. They're looking at the overall picture and they're shaking in their boots like, listen, we have this going on, that going on, that going on. A lot of times who gets cut out? The wedding coordinator, because in their mind, oh, we had a venue coordinator, so they'll just do all that, and I'm like, mm-mm.
Mhm.
They do a lot, and they are a huge part of the wedding. A good venue coordinator is worth it. It's
Mm.
worth it. However, they're not going to do the exact same things that a wedding coordinators do. They might overlap some duties, but not every single thing.
I like that you mentioned that. That flows into my final question. But even before that, you also mentioned that it's an investment financially.
Hmm.
And look, I'm a big numbers guy, finance guy.
I know.
If I can cut out unnecessary
Hmm.
expenses, yeah, of course. But man, it's an investment. And when you use that phrase, it's not just a salesman phrase, but it's a true phrase. When you use that phrase, you're investing in this financially. It's an investment.
It
So
is
your
an investment.
invoices, do they say, hey, this is just due, or does it cater to that terminology? It's an investment.
Investment is a big part of my proposal, actually. Because before we even get to contract/agreement mode, I want you to see that this is the investment. But there is a way in which I'll be sharing on later episodes on how I construct an invoice in case anybody is ever wondering, like, I mean, what are you doing that it's so much just for a few hours of the day? But I'm very detail oriented in my contracts, agreements, my proposals, because I'm telling a story. I'm telling you exactly what we're doing and why it's worth it. Even we've talked about in private, I will let you see what a consultation is normally charged. And if I throw that in there and it's complimentary, I want you to see how much it would normally cost you just to have a conversation, just to consult. And any professional worth their salt, I tell you, they do have to charge a certain price. They have to stay relevant, have to stay competitive. And it is 2026. Prices have inflated. Does that mean that I rip you off? Absolutely not. Now, that is not me. Are there some people out there who are rip-offs? Yes, there is. I'm not going to sugarcoat. Like, absolutely. But that's not the heart of me. But because I'm painting the picture in the proposal, I'm telling you the many things that Brown Bird Events provides at the bottom, after I said everything, now investment. Because I want you to see if I just say price,
You're taking something from me,
right. But investment, that means you're investing in your own event
and you'll have a return
and you'll have a return on it for years to come.
for sure.
So that's the ROI on that one.
For sure, for sure. And this wasn't initially in my thought of questioning, but you brought it up. But it flows into your fifth point that you had in the last session. You just mentioned um, the thought that, well, maybe I can just hook up with the venue coordinator.
Hmm.
But just think about that as I'm thinking about it too. um, the vent. So say someone say, okay, we know Auntie is out of it. Auntie is out of it. We don't want to deal with Auntie.
Right,
We'll just deal with the venue coordinator
right.
and we'll cut costs there. But point number five that you had, the vendor or the venue coordinator. I'll say this: they're hired on behalf of the venue, and you are point number five, an advocate for the couple.
Say it for the back, please.
So when you think I'm going to cut costs, I hear what she's saying, investment, but I'm just going to put that money somewhere else, and I'm just going to go with the vendor coordinator. I outsmarted everyone. It's like no, the vendor coordinator is with the house, and the house always wants to win. The vendor coordinator is hired and works for the venue, but you are working for the couple that has hired you. So you're an advocate for the couple, and you talk about the cost of just talking with people. You can reach out to a lawyer. They're going to charge you for talking with them.
Absolutely.
So imagine in this situation, you're dealing with legal documents, you're dealing with contracts, you're dealing with everything, and you're stepping in as an advocate, almost as a legal advocate, because you have to read through the contracts and do those things and coordinate for the couple. So we wouldn't want to walk into any situation, any environment where there's legal ramifications
Mhm.
without a legal counsel. And you walk in as an advocate. I know I feel much better going into a situation with a lawyer than with a lawyer who's appointed by the environment, right? You want to go in with your own professional. And that's why the price in the industry are the prices are what they are if you're dealing with a great wedding coordinator, because it's the experience, it's the troubleshooting, it's dealing with course vendors, and it's understanding the environment that you're stepping into. A lawyer understands the environment that they step into in a court. A court appointed lawyer is going to give you anything.
Right.
A hired venue coordinator is going to give you anything, because at the end of the day, they work for the venue. At the end of the day, the court appointed lawyer is not really your personal paid lawyer.
Right.
So you step in and you're an advocate for the couple to make sure that their day is running smooth.
Being an advocate for the couple really is the main job. That is the main job. I always say when I'm describing in layman's terms, yeah, it's putting out fires. Because I think I would you probably pass out if I told you how much stuff we really do behind the scenes. Like all jokes aside, I think if people really found out how much wedding coordinators do, even when it's not in our contracts, because we know the buck falls with us.
They even break down. Auntie not staying around till
No,
1 a.m. Like
she
sometimes
might
we
grab
have
a
to.
couple plates and then, all right, niece, all right, nephew, I'm out of here. Can you blame Auntie?
Right.
Absolutely not.
She's not paid, so you can't hold her.
But
But
what they don't know, the venue has a cutoff time for their contract, and it might be 12 a.m. And they say 5 minutes after, if the couple is staying 5 minutes after, any guest staying 5 minutes after, it'll be $200 for 5 minutes
mm,
or that hour. Just throwing stuff out there. I'm wording. So, I don't want to over exaggerate, but they will charge an arm and a leg if you go past the contracting time. Because why? That's pulling on their resources, their people,
right.
their strength, their whatever. That
Yeah, they would have to pay those people
right. They
per
have to pay
hour.
per
Yeah.
hour or whatever they're contracted to pay them. So, you know, we have to make sure that according again to this timeline that we created, okay, DJ crank up this last song or band sing this last song because
One more time.
oh gosh.
Yeah, that DJ was so upset with.
Listen, and I understand people are having when people start to really have a good time. I say an hour into that, the dancing and whatnot, people start to get hyped.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
had drinks in
They were
it,
like,
so they're
one more
ready to
song, one more song. He was
exactly.
breaking
They're
down.
ready to party like it's 1999. They're ready to party, and I get it. But me, I'm looking at that contract. Up, we have to find a way to, wrap it
Yeah,
up on the side. Otherwise, guess who's getting charged? I'm not. The couple is.
right, right. And then what have you really done justice to the couple
Right.
by, hey, I'm out here partying too because I'm uncle.
Not unless there's an agreement. A couple comes up to me midway and say, Robin, this might last a little longer. Is there any way you can go talk to the venue coordinator? We'll pay the fee. We don't care what the fee is.
Mm,
That is one thing, but it's a whole different thing where that was not discussed. So we have to go according to the timeline and the contract. So everybody needs to be out by 12 a.m.
wow. Yeah, it's so much. Like I said, it was great, great episode last time. And I mean, we touched really in reality, we touched over all of the 5 points. Not going to summarize them again here, but it was great conversation that we had. Any final things you want to say with wrapping up things that we can look forward to? I mean, there are plenty of stories that we have that we probably cannot touch on now.
Right.
But
And I'm very careful. Number one, sometimes when you see these podcasts, you're like, do y'all even like clients? I love clients. I
understood.
absolutely, it's not something that I would continue to choose over and over again. There's a lot of wedding coordinators. For the last wedding, you're like, I'm quitting, I'm done. Like, this is too much. And then what do? You sign on the next client because you have some space between and you do it all over again. It is thrilling to those of us who love it. And you do have to love to be able to multitask and intertwine with all these different personalities and be task oriented, detail oriented, uh, customer client oriented, vendor management. Like I can keep going on and on, but you have to have a love to be able to do all that. I will never come off of this rock. I will continue to say, or mountain, you need to have a wedding coordinator if you can afford it. You do. Wedding coordinators are worth every penny because in the end, you need somebody to manage your day. Like point number one, I talked about last podcast, to be able to enjoy your day. Um, Otherwise, you don't want to look back and say, and there's a lot of people who come back later and say, oh man, I should have hired a wedding coordinator. But I was trying to save money to do it all by myself. And I get it. But yeah, wedding coordinators are worth their every salt. So I'm not coming off that mountain. You argue me down. And me and my personality at the end of the day, I agree to disagree, friend, and that's okay. But this is what I think,
Yeah,
what I believe. So
yeah, and just watching you over the years and with the clients, they really become more than just on paper clients. Like you really get passionate about it and you connect. And I mean, I was there personally when one of the clients said, "Man, I don't want it to be over," because of the
mm,
connection and walking them through. And man, like when nerves are high and you're having an event, sometimes people just need someone in a foxhole with them, someone
absolutely.
who will walk them through some of this uncharted territory.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, they do want to hold their advocate's hand. They do want somebody on their side because, contrary to popular belief, you do have people against you on your own wedding day. Sometimes family, sometimes alleged friends, sometimes vendors. And you do need a main person who's going to be your advocate and shield a lot of that drama, a lot of that unnecessary um, mishap. You just don't want that on your day. You don't need that type of energy. It's a day of love.
Yeah.
It's
And
a day to be
especially
celebrated.
when you're not treating them as just, okay, this is my client. Like you're
Right.
walking them through. I'm not saying you guys are getting tattoos of each other on your arm, but we all know as customers or as people who have made investments into something when you're just being led through an invoice
Right.
versus when you're being walked through an event and you have an advocate and someone is, hey, I'm here for you. It's not just, you got that check?
That- and I think, I know this will be a whole nother episode, but I think this is why a lot of people, a lot of wedding coordinators is a little challenging for us right now because the wedding industry has changed drastically. It's not the same as it was 5 years ago, and like I said at the last podcast, nor was 5 years ago the same as 5 years before that. We have younger people getting married, and they process in a different way. It's like, who's the cheapest?
Yeah,
I don't care about all what you're trying to say. Who's the cheapest? So, with that being said, we even have to prove ourselves a little bit harder that we're still the right person for you. And my personal philosophy is finding a wedding coordinator that you do gel with, that you are comfortable with, that is not going to be too over the top or too under, too low.
right.
That right medium for you. And at the end of the day, If we're not a good fit, that's okay, friend. I want you from this is the heart of Robin Angela. I want you to find somebody who's good for you. But if we're already disagreeing on some of the fundamental things, I'm not the person for you.
Right,
And I'm okay with that.
right,
Yeah.
right.
All good. What's it say? All
All business is
business is
not
not
good
good
business.
business.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and I think a lot of that, and even with whether it's a family member trying to help you out, and I talked about emotions. It's like a lot of that can be the emotions, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but emotions are high because it's a very important event.
Right.
And if you're just someone, hey, I'm just walking you through this contract so I can get paid, you might not be receptive to, oh, Robin. They're calling you and they're nervous, and
Hmm.
sometimes they want to just keep discussing and talking it over. And if you're really not engaged to the person in a relationship in terms of, hey, I'm going to see you from start to finish,
Hmm.
or if it's a day of coordinating, I'm going to handle everything behind the scenes,
Right.
and then I'm going to set you up to have a smooth day.
Right.
You're there for them, and emotions will be high, and sometimes they just need to be settled down. And I saw that with one of your investees, and where it's like, man, just the relief that, okay, I have someone here who, yes, I'm contracted and paying them, but they're not just walking me through. They got the deposit,
No.
they got the second, third,
Right.
they got the
And we're not just doing a financial drop off and I'm leaving you. I'm here to hold your hand from start to finish. Now, our appointments are, we have an initial discovery call, of course, and we have, if you sign up with me, there's that contract phase. And once the initial retainer has been paid and the contract slash agreement has been fully executed between all parties, then I'm on the clock from that point. Of course, I space my appointments out that makes sense because I do not believe in overwhelm. If I was to meet with the client for 6 hours, their head would be spinning and they would probably want their money back. So that's not what I would want to do. I would space it out. But at the end of the day, I have repeatedly told all my clients I'm here from start to finish. There's phases to this. Phases. You don't give everything up front because it's too overwhelming. And then I know my brides, even though I love them, and it's a little joke I have. The same person that I met in the beginning will not be the same person the wedding day. Some of them turn into a little bridezilla. It's to be expected because it's the nerves and the emotions,
right,
and
right,
that's where a professional has to differentiate and put all that to the side and get it done because it's a huge day. It's a lot of tasks and subtasks that have to be performed. You know, checkpoints, check marks, whatever you want to call it, have to be checked off. So you have to be able to be strong enough mentally, physically, emotionally to power through to the end. But I think it's still worth it. I still believe in love. I still believe in my clients, and it's something that I want to do. May not be forever, but it's something I want to
for sure, for sure. And on that note, just like this podcast can't go forever,
do.
so we will have to wrap it up. But I really enjoy hearing the heart of Robin Angela. You gave us some good stuff, and just it's not the traditional setting. And I got to interview you and really allow the listeners to really see what the investment is and who a good coordinator, a great coordinator would look like. Because it's an important day, and it is an investment, and you can't get this time back. Whether
Nope.
it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you'll be thinking, and hey, Auntie, remember the wedding you helped me? And she'd say, I did my best. And no knock to Auntie, but it's what you put into it.
Yep.
It's an investment. So if you're willing to make the investment, and the good thing about investments are they're scalable.
Right.
If you
Right.
only have X, invest X.
Right.
If you have Y, invest Y.
Right.
But
Right.
to invest zero, I mean, you're looking for a miracle
You
because
are.
there's no investment, but you want a great
Right.
return.
And those of you who invest financially in any given thing, you understand ROI. And for those who might be watching it and not business savvy, just means return on investment. Everybody has to have a return on what they're investing in.
Hmm.
And I think, kind of to wrap it up, I would say the ROI with investing in a wedding coordinator is to look back, have happy memories, have happy footage of your day, and know that was a great day. And honestly, you might not even remember your wedding coordinator all that well. And that's fine. We can fade into the background, which we're supposed to be anyway. We're not the front runners. You are, as the
Hmm.
guest. But
The
to
main
me,
character.
that still was worth it. Even if you don't like, what was our wedding coordinator's name? That's okay. If you don't remember my name, I'm glad you had a great day. I remember you, but you don't have to remember me. And I'm okay with that.
For sure. For sure. Well, thank you. And till next time.